Chapter 28. And Yitzchak called Yaakov and baraked him, and commanded him, and said to him, Do not take a wife from the daughters of Canaan. Arise, go to Padam Aram, to the house of Bethuel, your mother's father, and take a wife for yourself from there, from the daughters of Lavan, your mother's brother. And El Shaddai barak you, and make you bear fruit and increase you, and you shall become an assembly of peoples. And give you the barakah of Abraham to you and your seed with you, so that you inherit the land of your sojournings, which Elohim gave to Abraham. So Yitzchak sent Yaakov away, and he went to Padam Aram, to Lavan son of Bethuel the Aramean, the brother of Rivkah, the mother of Yaakov, and Esau. And Esau saw that Yitzchak had baraked Yaakov, and sent him away to Padam Aram, to take himself a wife from there. And that as he baraked him, he gave him a command, saying, Do not take a wife from the daughters of Canaan. And that Yaakov had obeyed his father and his mother, and had gone to Padam Aram. So Esau saw that the daughters of Canaan did not please his father Yitzchak. And Esau went to Ishmael, and took Machalath, the daughter of Ishmael, Abraham's son, the sister of Nebaioth, to be his wife, besides the wives he had. And Yaakov went out from Bereshith, and went toward Haran. And he came upon a place, and stopped over for the night, for the sun was down. And he took one of the stones of that place, and put it at his head, and he lay down in that place to sleep. And he dreamed, and saw a ladder standing on the earth, and its top reached to the Shamayim, and saw messengers of Elohim going up and coming down on it. And see, Yahweh stood above it, and said, I am Yahweh Elohim of Abraham, your father, and the Elohim of Yitzchak. The land on which you are lying, I give it to you and your seed. And your seed shall be as the dust of the earth, and you shall break forth to the west and to the east, to the north and the south. And all the clans of the earth shall be Baruch in you and in your seed. And see, I am with you, and shall guard you wherever you go, and shall bring you back to this land. For I am not going to leave you until I have done what I have spoken to you. And Yaakov awoke from his sleep, and said, Truly Yahweh is in this place, and I did not know it. And he was afraid, and said, How awesome is this place! This is none other than the house of Elohim, and this is the gate of the Shamayim. And Yaakov rose early in the morning, and took the stone that he had put at his head, put it up as a standing column, and poured oil on top of it. And he called the name of that place Bethel. However, the name of that city had been Luz previously. And Yaakov made a vow, saying, Seeing Elohim is with me, and has kept me in this way, that I am going, and has given me bread to eat, and a garment to put on. When I have returned to my father's house in peace, and Yahweh shall be my Elohim, then this stone which I have placed as a standing column shall be Elohim's house, and of all that you give me, I shall certainly give a tenth to you. Chapter 29. And Yaakov moved on, and came to the land of the people of the east. And he looked and saw a well in the field, and saw 3 flocks of sheep lying by it. For out of that well they watered the flocks, and a large stone was on the well's mouth. and all the flocks would be gathered there. Then they will roll the stone from the well's mouth and water the sheep and put the stone back in its place on the well's mouth. So Yaakov said to them, "My brothers, where are you from?" And they said, "We are from Haran." And he said to them, "Do you know Laban, son of Nahor?" And they said, "We know him." So he said to them, "Is he well?" And they said, "Well. And see, his daughter Rachel is coming with the sheep." And he said, "See, it is still high, not the time for the livestock to be gathered together. Water the sheep and go and feed them." But they said, "We are not allowed until all the flocks are gathered together and they have rolled the stone from the well's mouth. Then we shall water the sheep." While he was still speaking with them, Rachel came with her father's sheep, for she was a sheep herdess. And it came to be, when Yaakov saw Rachel, the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, and the sheep of Laban, his mother's brother, that Yaakov went near and rolled the stone from the well's mouth and watered the flock of Laban, his mother's brother. And Yaakov kissed Rachel and lifted up his voice and wept. And when Yaakov told Rachel that he was her father's relative and that he was Rivka's son, she ran and told her father. And it came to be, when Laban heard the report about Yaakov, his sister's son, that he ran to meet him and embraced him and kissed him and brought him to his house. Then he told Laban all these matters. And Laban said to him, "You are indeed my bone and my flesh." And he stayed with him for a month. Then Laban said to Yaakov, "Because you are my relative, should you therefore serve me for naught? Let me know, what should your wages be?" And Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. And Leah's eyes were weak, but Rachel was lovely of form and appearance. And Yaakov loved Rachel, so he said, "Let me serve you 7 years for Rachel, your younger daughter." And Laban said, "It is better that I give her to you than that I should give her to another man. Stay with me." So Yaakov served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed to him but a few days because of the love he had for her. Then Yaakov said to Laban, "Give me my wife, for my days are completed, and let me go in to her." And Laban gathered all the men of the place and made a feast. And it came to be in the evening that he took Leah, his daughter, and brought her to Yaakov, and he went in to her. And Laban gave his female servant Zilpah to his daughter Leah as a female servant. And in the morning it came to be that, see, it was Leah. So he said to Laban, "What is this you have done to me? Was it not for Rachel that I served you? Why then have you deceived me?" And Laban said, "It is not done this way in our place, to give the younger before the firstborn. Complete the week of this one, then we give you this one too, for the service which you shall serve with me still another 7 years." And Yaakov did so and completed her week. Then he gave him his daughter Rachel too as wife. And Laban gave his female servant Bilhah to his daughter Rachel as a female servant. And he also went into Rachel, and he also loved Rachel more than Leah. And And he served with Laban still another 7 years. And Yahweh saw that Leah was unloved, and he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. And Leah conceived and bore a son, and she called his name Reuben. For she said, For Yahweh has looked on my affliction, because now my husband is going to love me. And she conceived again and bore a son, and said, Because Yahweh has heard that I am unloved, he gave me this son too. And she called his name Shimon. And she conceived again and bore a son, and said, Now this time my husband is joined to me, because I have borne him 3 sons. So his name was called Levi. And she conceived again and bore a son, and said, Now I praise Yahweh. So she called his name Yehudah, and she ceased bearing. Chapter 30. And when Rachel saw that she bore Yaakov no children, Rachel envied her sister, and said to Yaakov, Give me children, or else I am going to die. And Yaakov's displeasure burned against Rachel, and he said, Am I in the place of Elohim, who has withheld from you the fruit of the womb? And she said, See, my female servant Bilhah, go in to her, and let her bear over my knees, and let me be built up from her as well. So she gave him Bilhah, her female servant, as wife, and Yaakov went in to her. And Bilhah conceived and bore Yaakov a son. And Rachel said, Elohim has rightly ruled my case, and has also heard my voice, and given me a son. So she called his name Dan. And Rachel's female servant Bilhah conceived again and bore Yaakov a second son. And Rachel said, With great wrestlings I have wrestled with my sister, and I have overcome. So she called his name Naphtali. And Leah saw that she had ceased bearing, and she took Zilpah, her female servant, and gave her to Yaakov as wife. And Leah's female servant Zilpah bore Yaakov a son. And Leah said, What luck! So she called his name Gad. And Leah's female servant Zilpah bore Yaakov a second son. And Leah said, I am Baruch, for the daughters shall call me Baruch. So she called his name Asher. And Reuben went in the days of wheat harvest, and found love apples in the field, and brought them to his mother Leah. And Rachel said to Leah, Please give me some of your son's love apples. But she said to her, Is it a small matter that you have taken away my husband? Will you take away my son's love apples too? And Rachel said, Therefore let him lie with you tonight for your son's love apples. And when Yaakov came out of the field in the evening, Leah went out to meet him and said, Do come in to me, for indeed I have hired you with my son's love apples. And he lay with her that night. And Elohim listened to Leah, and she conceived and bore Yaakov a 5th son. And Leah said, Elohim has given me my hire, because I have given my female servant to my husband. So she called his name Yisachar. And Leah conceived again and bore Yaakov a 6th son. And Leah said, Elohim has presented me with a good present. Now my husband is going to dwell with me, because I have borne him 6 sons. So she called his name Zebulun. And afterward she bore a daughter, and called her name Dinah. And Elohim remembered Rachel, and Elohim listened to her, and opened her womb. And she conceived and bore a son, and said, Elohim has taken away my reproach. So she called his name Joseph, and said, Yahweh has added to me another son. And it came to be, when Rachel had borne Joseph, that Jacob said to Laban, "Send me on my way, to go to my own place and to my land. Give my wives and my children, for whom I have served you, and let me go, for you yourself know my service, which I have done for you." And Laban said to him, "If I have found favor in your eyes, please stay, for I have diligently watched that Yahweh has baraked me for your sake." And he said, "Name me your wages, and I give it." So he said to him, "You know how I have served you, and how your livestock has been with me. For the little you had before I came has increased greatly, and Yahweh has baraked you since my coming. But now, when am I to provide for my own house too?" And he said, "What do I give you?" And Jacob said, "Give me naught. If you do this for me, I shall again feed and guard your flocks. Let me pass through all your flock today, removing from there all the speckled and spotted sheep, and all the black ones among the lambs, and the spotted and speckled among the goats. And this shall be my wages. And my righteousness shall answer for me in time to come, when you come concerning my wages. Every one that is not speckled and spotted among the goats, and black among the lambs, it is stolen if it is with me." And Laban said, "See, let it be according to your word." And on that day he put aside the male goats that were speckled and spotted, and all the female goats that were speckled and spotted, every one that had some white in it, and all the black ones among the lambs, and gave them into the hand of his sons. And he put 3 days' journey between himself and Jacob fed the rest of Laban's flocks. And Jacob took for himself rods of green poplar, and of the almond and chestnut trees, peeled with white strap in them, and exposed the white which was in the rods. And he put the rods which he had peeled before the flocks in the gutters, in the watering trough where the flocks came to drink, and they conceived when they came to drink. So the flocks conceived before the rods, and the flocks brought forth streaked, speckled, and spotted. And Jacob separated the lambs, and made the flocks face toward the streaked, and all the black in the flock of Laban. But he put his own flocks by themselves, and did not put them with Laban's flock. And it came to be, whenever the strong ones of the flock conceived, that Jacob placed the rods before the eyes of the flock in the gutters, so they would conceive among the rods. But when the flocks were weak, he did not put them in, so the weak ones were Laban's, and the strong ones Jacob's. Thus the men increased very much, and had many flocks, and female and male servants, and camels, and donkeys.